Welcome back to Occasional Randomness. I'm your host, Eric Scott, and joining me, as always, my fellow co-host, someone who loves a good amusement park, Jason Johnson.
So I guess now is a bad time to tell you that I'm afraid of heights, right? Because that's not going to happen to me in those rides. Just putting that up front.
Yeah, as I get older, I'm getting more afraid of heights. I used to love roller coasters, and now I'm slightly terrified of them, which is kind of half the point of being on a roller coaster. But yeah,
So the funny thing about roller coasters and me is that this is more than anybody ever asked. I like the motion, right? The speed and the dips and stuff. It's just the heights. So if you have a roller coaster that doesn't go up, I'm good. But or if you're inside all the time. But as soon as you go out, I'm out.
and if it involves like loops or spins, nope. I'm not-
Yeah,
I just want the up and down, maybe like the kind of like the 90-degree angle turn kind of thing. But anytime you start like flipping me or nope, don't need that.
What's worse than that is evidently the simulators have gotten so good that that affects me too. We tried to do the Avatar ride at Disney, and I really literally couldn't do it because it was too real. So
And speaking of Disney, if anybody is wondering, have Jason and I ever met in person before? Yes, we have. We've been doing podcasts for years on another network, on and off, all virtual over the Skype here. But the one time I finally went down to Florida for Disney, Jason and his family popped over and we had a day of wandering around. Was it Disney Springs now? Is that what they call it?
yeah, that's what they call it. Yeah, this week we'll see what they call it next week. But
So we have actually met in
yeah,
person, if anybody out there is wondering. So there you go.
virtual meets real life. Funny thing.
Yeah, there's things beyond the audio, yeah,
Occasionally.
randomly.
Yeah. There we covered the bases.
There we go. We've met the contractual obligation of the podcast. All right, so first up tonight on the podcast, our continuing rewatch of Farscape. This time we are in Season 3, Episode 14, Infinite Possibilities, Part 1, Daedalus Demands, which means there's going to be a Part 2, because, that's how it works.
I was wondering how that was going to happen.
Yeah, wouldn't it be cool if they just did like Part 1 and then just like never did Part 2? And then after that, we'll pick up with our Secret Invasion watch, and we'll only do one episode this time, Episode 4, since we kind of did like the first three. So, or kind of we're doing it one at a time now because we're almost real time. So, but next time we'll probably do 5 and 6 because by that point they'll both be out. So there you go.
Yeah. And I'll do my best not to dive into 5 because unfortunately I've seen that now. So I'm in the future. But
How is
this
it?
is actually a rare thing where I've seen something you haven't. Normally it's the other way around. So
I know we'll have to note this as a event. And as always, our plea to you, the listener, if you like what we do, please give us a like or a review wherever you listen to this fine podcast at. Or better yet, help spread the word and let your friends and Facebook people and Twitter and Threads and wherever all the other podcasting platform, all the other social media platforms, all about us. We would appreciate it. All right, so keeping with our every other rotating review, I think you're up for this one.
excellent. Well, let's go ahead and dive into Farscape, Season 3, Episode 14, Infinite Possibilities, Part 1, Daedalus Demands, because that couldn't be any longer.
Not quite as long as like look at the princess, whatever, but
Yeah, you're probably right, but reading
it's
that
long,
felt.
yeah. It's about
I didn't think I was going to stop.
it's a bunch of long words, lots of letters in these words. Yeah.
All right, so we open up on Talyn with Crichton teaching Aaron to read English, and they start to talk about how the ancients have called for him, and he is now seeking them out. He starts to kiss her leg, which, when through the window, he sees a familiar sight, a wormhole leading to Earth. On command, Crichton calls for the ancients, and Jack comes aboard, which is Crichton's dad, but not. Anyway, he says that he thought he knew John, but he may have been wrong. If he was, he may have to kill Crichton. So Jack enters Crichton's mind and says that the ancients have found a world to inhabit, but on traveling to this new home, they saw something. Jack shows Crichton an image of the Farscape 1 module being flown through an unstable wormhole by an unknown alien. It happened about a third of a cycle ago, but Crichton says he knows nothing about it. The module also had a phase stabilizer on board, a device allowing for safe travel through any wormhole. Crichton tries to convince Jack that he didn't do anything and he doesn't know of the gift that the ancients gave him. Suddenly, Harvey calls Crichton and they appear in a fairgrounds bumper cars. Harvey says that Jack will kill both of them if he learns of Harvey's existence. He says that Scorpius didn't build the module, he only has access to Crichton's knowledge of the module. If Crichton couldn't rebuild the module from memory, Scorpius wouldn't be able to either. He leads Crichton to one conclusion: Furlow, as she is the only person he knows who has had both access to the module and knowledge to duplicate it. Crichton tells Jack about Furlow, and they leave his mind. Back on command, Jack shows everyone the alien flying through the wormhole, and Rigel recognizes it. He tells Stark that it was a Charid. They invaded Hynerian space 1,000 cycles ago, killing 1 billion Hynerians, including 80 million of their young. He says that they repelled the Charids with suicide attacks, but with wormhole technology, they could invade without warning, and they have no defense against that. Crais enters and says that it's more serious than they could imagine. Unconfirmed reports suggest an alliance between the Charids and the Scarrans.
Yeah, and we'll go into that a little bit more when we talk about the episode. But anyway.
Yeah, Crais is just full of knowledge there.
Yeah, surprise knowledge. Yeah.
Surprise. Jack tells Crichton that the Ancients may not be able to defend against hostile species. He stayed behind to stop anyone finding their new home, and he probably won't ever be able to join them. They go to Dam Bada, Furlow's planet, and find it sterilized. Crichton and Aaron take some weapons, and Crichton apologizes for screwing up her life again. They continue talking, and he says that he wouldn't like to go home alone, but she says she wouldn't want him to, and they agree to talk about it later. Everyone leaves in a transport pod, and Jack detects a solar flare. He can sense when they're coming. They land, and Crais, Crichton, and Aaron go to Furlow's base, but are met with heavy gunfire. Another flare comes, and an army of Charids surround them from either side. The three fend them off when Crais announces that Talyn knows they're in trouble and is coming to help. They unsuccessfully try to talk Talyn out of it because another flare is imminent. Talyn comes, but he's blinded by the flare, and because of the neural link, so is Crais. Crichton and Aaron storm the base, while Stark retrieves Crais and takes him back to the pod. Crichton and Aaron find Furlow tied up, and as they cut her down, more Charids attack. They fend them off, saving one for questioning. It threatens them, and Furlow says that the only way into the base is through the front entrance. Furlow shows Crichton the duplicated module and says she flew it through an unstable wormhole 4 times and survived. She hired the Charids for security, but they double-crossed her, killed all her techs, and tortured her. Stark takes Crais to find Talyn, and Rigel and Jack are sent to join Crichton and Aaron. Furlow asks Crichton who Jack is, and he explains that he's here making sure that the wormhole technology doesn't fall into the wrong hands. Rigel goes to the Charid, who threatens him, and Rigel says that he knows about Charid physiology and weaponry. He has a Charid weapon designed to be effective even against their own kind, and he doesn't care that the others want him alive. Jack tells Furlow that she has no idea of the value of the wormhole technology when the Charids begin a mortar attack. As Aaron scouts, she hears a scream. Rigel has killed the Charid, but was told a scared dreadnought is on its way and will arrive in 6 arms. Aaron says that even if Talyn could see, he couldn't stand up to a dreadnought. It's twice the size of a command carrier. She takes Rigel with her, and they go to do something about the Charids. Jack and John tell Furlow that they are prepared to destroy the technology if the Charids get in. Stark and Crais find Talyn badly damaged, as Aaron shows Rigel how to operate one of the gun turrets to keep the Charids away. Rigel is reluctant to stay there alone, but with a bit of reverse psychology, she persuades him. Meanwhile, Jack tells Furlow that a wormhole can be turned into a weapon of incredible destruction. He says that there's too much danger to sell the technology, but Furlow pulls a gun on him. He shows her his true form, saying that he understands the risk of wormhole technology brings and convinces her to put her weapon down. Aaron sets explosives all around the base as Furlow tries to get Crichton to go with her. She says that they can leave before the Scarrans arrive, only selling the wormhole technology to peaceful races because the Scarrans won't leave anybody breathing. Her computer is suddenly remotely tapped into by the Scarrans, and before Crichton and Aaron can blow it up, the Scarrans manage to get enough data to create a phase stabilizer of their own. Jack says that they need to destroy the dreadnought, but they have nothing powerful enough to do it. Jack thinks they can convert the stabilizer to a weapon, but he needs Crichton's help. He tells Crichton of the equations that he implanted in Crichton's memory during their last encounter to guide him to develop it on his own. He says that the knowledge is dangerous and the Ancients didn't want to give it to him at all. He says he can unlock it, but if the Ancients knew that they would kill both of them. But he says he has no choice. Jack gets Furlow to get the things he needs, and once she's gone, Crichton tells Jack that he has a confession, and he tells Jack that he knew of the stuff they put in his head. Jack asks how, and so Crichton tells him that Scorpius put a chip in his head, but it's gone now, more or less.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, more or less. Less of something. When Aaron returns, he says there's more. A chunk of Scorpius' personality was left behind. See, there's the more.
Yep.
And Jack says they can't unlock the information while Harvey can access it, and says that although his mental powers are limited, together they may be able to drive the clone from his mind. An explosion occurs, and Crichton is knocked unconscious as Cherries storm the lab. Crichton finds himself back at the fairground, summoned by Harvey, who is angry that Crichton wants him removed. He warns Crichton that he infests every part of his brain, and promises that he will fight back if any attempt to remove him is made. Harvey promises to kill Crichton if he follows through on his threat. Aaron and Furlow manage to kill the Cherries, and Aaron wakes Crichton. Crichton has decided to go through with it, and Rigel calls, saying that he has run out of ammo. Aaron goes to give him some more, telling Crichton not to start without her. On Talyn, Crace tries to take manual control to help Talyn, and says that something doesn't feel right. It must be the docking control. Stark gets through to Aaron, but soon loses communication when a flare strikes. Aaron stocks up Rigel's ammo as he fends off some Cherries on vehicles, apparently enjoying this. Aaron returns to Crichton, and he hands over his gun. After they kiss, Jack begins. Harvey and Crichton are back on the roller coaster. Harvey pleads with John for mercy as he doesn't want the wormhole knowledge. Although Scorpius does have a copy, Harvey doesn't know or care if he can access it, so there's no reason to get rid of him. But Crichton disagrees.
Yeah, sure. Everything's fine. I'm just a happy guy here. I'm just your friend.
Yeah, just part of your personality. No big deal. He says that he's happy to coexist, but Crichton isn't. As the roller coaster starts to pick up speed, Harvey reminds Crichton that he's helped him in the past and even saved his life. But Crichton counters that Harvey was helping himself. As the coaster begins to fall, Harvey tells John that the alien is using him and he'll kill everyone when he's finished with Crichton, who gets angry when he lists Aaron as a possible victim, since Harvey killed her. Harvey reminds him that she's alive, but Crichton tells him that they lost Zan as a result. Harvey feels himself starting to be purged from Crichton's mind and gets desperate. As Jack struggles, Harvey and Crichton are seen hanging from the roller coaster structure. Harvey begs to be saved, but John refuses. And Harvey climbs up and dangerously snarls, "I warned you," just before they both fall. In real time, Crichton and Jack fall to the floor. Rigel continues to fire, but a number of vehicles come from behind and launch a mortar into the turret, which leaves Rigel badly wounded. Aaron finishes CPR on Crichton and he awakes, only it's not Crichton. It's Harvey. Scorpius John grabs Aaron by the throat and says that Crichton gambled and lost. With tears in her eyes, Aaron puts Crichton's gun to his head, ready to shoot him. To be continued.
Dun, dun, dun. So see, there's a part two.
Yeah, we definitely are following through on that one. That or we're in for a weird ride when the other crew picks up next episode.
Yeah, right.
So, a little trivia about this episode. Ben Browder and Wayne Pygram were among the last to ride the roller coaster at Luna Park. The coaster was dismantled shortly after filming and transferred to Queensland. Sydney Harbour Bridge can be seen during the amusement park scene. Flooding affected the shooting of this episode. Ben Browder pulled his hamstring while filming the episode, though he kept running until the director yelled, "Cut." John saying to Harvey, "For everything there is a season, a time to keep, a time to cast away," is a callback to Season of Death, which was episode 1 of season 3. And finally, Jack, the Ancient's reason for coming after John in this episode, is for the misuse of the knowledge that he gave to John in A Human Reaction. But the data that Furlow used was from Till the Blood Runs Clear, which was 5 episodes before John received the wormhole knowledge. Oops.
Continuity. Who cares?
That's a while back. I'd forgotten. So what'd you think, Eric?
Well, like you've said on numerous podcasts before, Farscape really does its multi-part episodes really well. I mean, and this, of course, has been no exception. Part one, this is almost constant action from the beginning. Plus, they also insert scenes that further the overall plot line of the whole Farscape series, like the wormhole knowledge, aliens, even calling back to Furlow. Although, like most shows were, at least back in this time, you pretty much knew they weren't going to kill off most of the major characters, hardly ever. Zan being a exception. That was mostly because the actress had issues with the makeup, not because she wanted to leave the show. But some of these action bits were just a little too unbelievable. Like, how many Chariots are there? Looks like about 1,000. I don't know. And, no one gets a scratch on them or even close to being shot at, except of course, Rigel because it suits the plot. But that's been kind of Rigel's year so far. He gets hurt, I think, probably every other episode so far. Other than that, this was a great episode. Top tier. I love seeing Kent McCord playing the ancient Jack again. I love calling back to Furlow because she was great in till the blood runs clear. And I'm kind of glad they brought her back at least for another episode, hopefully. And like I said, with further the overall plot of Farscape, we're I guess now ramping up the threat of the Scarrans that they hinted at a while back that there could be at war with the Peacekeepers. So this is, I guess, bringing that more to the forefront that they're after the wormhole technology also that the Peacekeepers said that they were also messing with. So I guess now it's kind of an arms race of who gets the wormhole tech first, right? So we'll see.
Yeah, and it's definitely interesting to see the Scare and Peacekeeper escalate, right? With what we got one entire season to go after 3 plus the miniseries. There's a lot of ground I think they can cover and mine out of that. And I will have to admit though, I really needed that opening recap because I had no clue what was going on at the start of this one. Almost like I felt like I'd missed an episode. The talk of John being summoned and stuff, I was kind of trying to figure out, did I miss that? Had I forgotten it? Maybe that's due to the bouncing between the crews, right? That may be a weak point that I kind of forgot what was happening in the last crew. Almost need a recap myself. And, it doesn't help that with my memory, I'd also completely forgotten about Furlow until we got the introduction and reminder of who she was, right? So I did really enjoy it. Like you said, they definitely pull out all the stops on the multi-parters. And I kind of feel like, especially this season where we've had, at least lately, I don't feel like we've had a lot of movement, a lot of bottle episodes and a lot of things affected the characters, but nothing that really changed the dynamic. And I kind of feel like they saved that for the multi-parters where we may can get some changes in the status quo. So it'll be interesting to see where they go from here.
Yeah, and then when I usually watch TV shows, and it's like they give you the option to skip recap or skip intro, skip opening credits. Usually I'm like, yeah, next, fine, fine. Oh yeah, maybe I'll just hang on to the recap because, like you said, it's been almost 2 seasons, I guess, or ish, since we had the Furlough episode. So yeah, I was like, no, actually a bad recap. They kind of explained the whole thing for you right there. So if you were new to Farscape or hadn't watched parts of the prior seasons, kind of pretty much gave you a good background baseline to what you're going to experience the next hour.
Which is actually something we tend to forget, or at least I do, on these since we were watching them streaming. Right, is that these were aired on TV, and if you didn't have a way to record or go back, odds are good if you missed it, you don't have a clue what happened, especially at previous seasons. So, yeah, you almost have to have those kind of recaps.
Yeah, until streaming came along, or I don't know when they might have released these on VHS back in the day, or then to DVD and Blu-ray now. But yeah, I mean, if you missed it and missed the reruns, or because you didn't know what episode they're going to schedule or whatever, yeah, you're out of luck. We've come such a long way in the last 20 years.
Back in my day, anyway.
Yeah, right. We had a Betamax. No, anyway.
My grandparents did.
Yeah, we did too. We picked the wrong one in that battle. Anyway. But yeah, so okay, let's go through this kind of chronologically, since why not? So we get the nice opening fake out that Jack shows up and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to kill you, maybe Crichton." And like, what? So that kind of ramps up the tension. You didn't really think that the last time you met Jack, he was all this evil guy. He was trying to check things out, see what's going on, and thinks Crichton's a nice guy because they gave him that wonderful wormhole knowledge. But although since there's two Crichtons, maybe he doesn't know that. So if this Crichton, say, argument's sake, say this Crichton was selling off stuff and doing nasty things, if he does kill him, then there's the other Crichton. So, oops. But maybe because this Jack was, or this Crichton was calling for Jack, that's why he came to Talyn. So, and didn't know about the other one because maybe he's not calling out to other Crichton. Maybe we'll find out next episode, maybe not, I don't know. Although, kind of where they left this off, I'm not quite sure we're going to get the other crew next time, which will break the cycle of crew switching episodes. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that was kind of my expectation, right? I kind of expected that this was going to be, this multi-parter was going to be what they used to reunite the crew and bring them all back together and, whatever. But maybe not. Maybe this is we're writing out the rest of the season with separate crews and separate spaces. So, just exactly how far apart are they? You know?
Yeah, because obviously they must have some way of finding out where each other is at some point because they're going to regroup. So I don't know if, Talon can talk to Moya or vice versa, from some wonderful Leviathan biological technology. Who knows? I don't know. Although maybe they might show up maybe at the end of next episode. I'm thinking maybe. I don't know. But it seems like they have enough going on that bringing in the other crew at this point can be like overkill.
Yeah, because not to jump ahead, but now I'm kind of questioning because it's jogging my memory. This is the Crichton that doesn't even know that wormholes liquefy you, right? That's the other Crichton. So we've got some interesting knowledge dispersed across.
Yeah, it's true. So yeah, it'd be
Hmm.
interesting to see when or if the Crichtons get back together. Yeah, how they're gonna like update each other on what they've missed.
Or maybe they don't, but we'll get to that at the end.
Yeah,
So
I have my own theory here, so yeah, we'll see. Which would suck, but then that's how drama. Anyway, we'll get to that when we get to that. So yeah, so they see this mysterious alien piloting Farscape 1, which is also on Moya, but anyway. And only Rigel seems to know that they're called Charids, I guess, or Chard, whatever, because of what they did, in
yeah, I'm probably slaughtering that
I don't
pronunciation,
know.
but hey,
It's been like a week since I saw the episode, but I think it was Chariot. But yeah, obviously Rigel knows what they are because of the history with his planet. And then Krace suddenly pops up and says, "Hey, I got some unconfirmed reports that they've allied themselves with the Scarrans." Um, so what? Nobody bothered to revoke Krace's security clearance, and he's just like picking intelligence reports in the Peacekeepers, I'm guessing, or there's some kind of like uncharted territories internet that just says, hot take news flash, Chariot's working with Scarrans. I don't
they posted it on a BBS somewhere.
know.
But yeah, but I guess you could theorize that maybe Talon's connected to Peacekeeper Security Network or something, since that's he was bred to be a warship. But that still seems like some bad security just to have it open to something like him just because he's got Peacekeeper tech.
Yeah, because if they're hunting for him from the retrieval squads from the prior, times we've seen this crew, yeah, it's like you wouldn't want to shut that off first before you capture it.
Yeah,
But
he should have seen him coming, right? Because they should have been a BBS posting that said, "Hey, we're hunting for a Talon." So
yeah, so whatever, we'll just chalk it up to adding the drama. So what are you gonna do?
yeah, plot.
And hey, we got Harvey back. Love to see Harvey. Always love Harvey. And I love
Yeah,
how they get
regular.
creative every time he does show up because before it was, he just pops in to whatever Crichton's doing in real life, but now that the real neural chip is gone, really it's just kind of like what's happening inside Crichton's head. So they can kind of just do whatever they want to do. And this time they go to amusement park, which I know from the trivia was like, a amusement park in Australia, but I guess they kind of made up some Coney Island signs and slapped them on there to make you think it's like New York. But whatever. That's fine.
Except for the bridge, right?
Yeah.
You can't hide a bridge. So
And John's an American, so I don't know I don't know where Iasa was from. Like, but anyway, he's would know more about Coney Island probably than in Australia amusement park. And I don't know how they did it, but that's like some great acting on the bumper cars, which is kind of fun because you get to bang into each other and keep driving around. But especially the roller coaster acting. I mean, I don't know how many takes it took them to get that, but the timing of them going up the roller coaster and doing all the dialogue in time to get to the top, and then while they're going down and rolling around the roller coaster, they're still acting. I mean, I was like, wow, that's incredible. I'm like, is it like one take? How many takes did it take to do this? Because, I guess if you like roller coasters, like we had said at the top of the show, that's fantastic. If you don't, that's gonna be some good acting to get through that.
yeah, especially if to hang from one. But uh, I also find it interesting given the fact that the roller coaster was removed. I guess it was moved to a new location, not just removed. But shortly after they filmed this, makes those repeated takes more interesting, right? Because you've got to they basically tied up the roller coaster for whatever they were filming, while the other people are trying to ride it before it gets moved. I don't know. That's just kind of an interesting thought to kind of put yourself back then and try to figure out the logistics.
Yeah, I guess it's part of being on a TV show. They have people scouting locations, and I guess someone's like, "Hey, we have this this amusement park that they're getting rid of. That no one's there. It'd be cool. We can maybe talk to the company and get on there for a day or shoot some stuff." And of course, like we said in the recap, it's gun battle fest in this episode. You know, every other scene is a gun battle outdoors, inside, wherever. And I guess, as we said before, most of the shows before this were like bottle episodes, so I guess they still have some money left over, and they're probably saving a good chunk of it for like the two-parter because you want to have a big, impactful couple episodes. Or at least this is where most of the special effects budget probably went, given all the explosives and explosions and weapons fire. Although you can probably replay some of those scenes over and over again from different angles, and only blow things up once and use it 5 times. But hey,
Yeah, just have people dive to different directions, and you can call it different scenes. So
yeah. And then we get to see Talon strafing, the ground. So that was kind of cool. And of course, not listening to anybody and doing it, and then of course getting damaged as a result. But you know, that's Talon being Talon. Young, impulsive Leviathan, and of course it adds to the tension because now they probably can't get away because Talon's damaged. The Scarran dreadnoughts coming, and they can't get off the planet. So we have to ramp up the tension in part one.
yeah, and always taking the transport off the board, right? It's always a big part of that because now you've got stranded characters, or at least mostly stranded. I don't know how many can fit in their Farscape module, but I don't think it's all of them. So
Yeah, I just thought as you're doing the recap that Crace said there's like, a problem with like the docking module. So I'm like, well, so that means like they maybe can't get off the ship to pick them up, or maybe some Charids have docked with Talon, and that's gonna be part two. Maybe they're on board the ship, and I'm gonna have some problem. I don't know. Thinking out loud.
yeah, I missed that. So that's a good one.
And let's see, let's go into our boy Rigel here. His usual, let's just leave everybody. He tries that, and that they shut that down real fast. So thank you. But
But he had
then,
to get it in.
yeah, I mean that's you have to.
It's in his contract.
Yeah. But then of course Aaron, sweet talks him and he gets a backbone, and now he's like on the gun turret, just happily blowing away Jareds left and right and have a good old time. So okay, cool. And so I don't know if that's because he knows that he can't get back, so either he has to help defend them or he's gonna die, so he's got no choice. But is he really a coward? Mm, I don't think he's ever been like cowardish. It's just if he's not in control of something or has some kind of angle he can, exploit, like for money, profit, people's belongings when they die or leave the ship, then he doesn't care. He doesn't want to do anything about it.
Yeah, I think it's always a whatever serves his self interest and requires minimal effort, right? I mean, if he doesn't have to, he's not going to, and if it can profit from it, he's going to go that route. But if he has to, or if there's something personal in it for him, like torturing somebody that he feels benefits him, then he's all aboard.
Yeah, because I mean, he is vengeful. I mean, that we can get definitely say from previous episodes. He tortured the guy that tortured him for 100 years, 100 cycles. I forget the guy's name. It's a peacekeeper captain that we found in that one episode. So he kind of has revenge against him. And then of course here, not personally, he probably didn't personally experience the chariots attacking stuff like 1,000 cycles ago. And I don't think Hydarians lived that long. But that's probably all throughout their history. And being the leader of his planet or empire or whatever, I'm sure that's first and foremost. Like if you ever come across shards again, you must attack them, kill them because what they did to us. So yeah, this is like ingrained in him or personal also. So that makes sense what he did there. And let's see. As I said before, I love Furlow. I loved her back in the first episode, and all her scenes in this one are just as good as the other episode she was in. I don't know. I guess they were kind of flirting maybe before. I can't remember the other episode, but this time around, she's like trying to sweet talk him into going with her. She's like kissing him, like there's some kind of romantic thing. I didn't think they were flirting, but anyway, it was fun to see him like what. And then even after learning what wormhole tech could do, she still, of course, has her got to make money angle. So like, well, maybe we just sell to peaceful people that won't do anything bad with it. So her and Rachel should get together because they make a perfect con artist, capitalist cabal here.
Throw in Chiana, and you're good to go.
Yeah, there you go. You got the perfect group of people there. Although, she's seemingly going along with destroying the stuff once Jack shows her his true form and explains everything. We still got one episode to go, so we'll see if that's really true or she's trying to have some angle of, if the opportunity presents itself, she's going to take the data and maybe bug out on her own somehow.
Yeah, I do appreciate the consistency of character, right? She definitely has that. She brings a pragmatic side, looking for a benefit, looking for almost a mix of Rigel, which is always looking for the payout, but she also reminds me a little bit of the early season 1 Crichton, right? When everything was about benefiting him and getting him to to Earth. It was more of a pragmatic approach to things as opposed to the altruistic. It's been a while since I did a comparison to our team, so like a Guardians of the Galaxy approach, right? Where while they claim to be rough, they're really out to save people here, and I think our crew's kind of moved in that direction and less pragmatic and just getting what benefits them and getting out.
Yeah, because even like a few episodes ago here, like Dargo was calling John out for like, oh, you think there's some wormholes here somewhere? Let's keep looking for it, please. I've got nothing else to do, So, and probably the big, I guess, half or so of this episode is Harvey, our friend. So, Crichton reveals that, yeah, I got this thing in my head there, Mr. Ancient Jack. And yeah, we kind of did know what you put in my head. And then Jack does kind of put it all together that, well, I can't unlock the full knowledge while Harvey's there because if Harvey ever gets out or gets in control or somehow get the info back to the real Scorpius, then that would be even worse. Now you just be in the same position again of now you have that knowledge over there to you have to destroy or get rid of. Although technically, from what we saw, what, 2 episodes ago, maybe was it meltdown? Was it meltdown? Anyway, whatever it was, but the real Scorpius is really close to getting stuff working. He's just gotta get that phase shielding figured out, and then now we got. Is Jack gonna come back for that too? It's like, oh, hey, by the way, now we got to deal with this person. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes.
So he's the new Q protecting the wormhole tech. He's just going to show up anytime that they need him. No, there's my Star Trek reference. See, you should be proud of me for
Hey,
that
there
one.
you go. Well, that's a next gen. You saw that, so yeah, I'll give you that one.
All right, fair. Give me my little one. Um, I did think the Harvey stuff, at least until he kind of revealed himself, which we'll talk about in a minute, was kind of weak because he's not the actual neural chip, right? He's a remnant, and so he's not really got a way to report to Scorpius. It's not like there's a risk of whatever Harvey learns getting to Scorpius. So I'm not sure I could figure out how he would report back or what that risk is.
Yeah, because I guess like what is left over from the neural chip? Is it still like the desire to get the wormhole knowledge and give it back to the real Scorpius, or is he just thinks maybe that might get him out of his head somehow? Like, yeah, I don't know what the end game of what Harvey thinks the end game is, but other than just surviving, I don't know.
Right. Just kind of hang out and ride amusement park rides.
Yeah, or if you got the same, Scorpius's personality, then of course it's yeah, survive at all costs, get power and whatever. So who knows? I mean, as you see at the end, I mean, he's in control, so we'll see what he does if he survives. But yeah, so those final scenes, up until this point, Harvey's mostly been kind of this cool, happy-ish, go-lucky kind of persona. But I guess when push comes to shove, he kind of goes full Scorpius. He's not gonna go down without a fight. And as we saw at the end, he's seemingly in control of Crichton's body, which we know because he looks like Scorpius, although Aaron doesn't see that. But that's shorthand for the audience that
Yeah,
that's not Crichton. So
that's always disconcerting to me to see the Scorpius get up on what's supposed to be Crichton. It just kind of throws me off. I don't know.
yeah, he gets that kind of his version of a British accent or whatever. So oh, it's definitely not Crichton. Even if he doesn't look like Crichton, I know it's not because he doesn't speak like Crichton.
Yeah.
So if you weren't sure because of the way it looks like, you can hear that it's not the same person. And we know Aaron's not going to pull the trigger because then, although maybe she will because she got the other Crichton. I mean, but yeah, she's probably not going to do that because she's in love with this Crichton. So
Always to there are right. No, wait,
yeah, wait,
wrong.
well, that goes into something else. I think I have somewhere else which we'll talk about in the next time bit. But yeah, another movie quote about more than one. But yeah, I mean she's not going to do it. So it's going to be interesting to see what the resolution is next time.
Speaking of,
Yeah. So if nothing else to talk about, then yeah, next time on Farscape, before we get into our Secret Invasion recap, if you don't care, don't want to have to come back to us talking about next time for something else. So next time we're going to cover season 3, episode 15, Infinite Possibilities Part 2. Ha, see? Icarus Abides. So, our usual guessing game of what does that episode title mean? I don't know what the title necessarily means, but they dropped enough hints in this episode about John and Aaron's future together, with them having a little romantic time in the beginning, him teaching her English for when they get home, saying he doesn't want to go home without her, and they'll talk later. Yeah, well, with the cliffhanger they gave us that Harvey might be in control, to quote Highlander, there can be only one. So, whether that's both in John's head of only one personality, or with a number of Johns in general, because we got two. So I'm going to go out on the limb here and say by the end of next episode, the Talon Crichton will be dead. He'll have sacrificed himself to destroy the Scarran dreadnought by taking that phase shield device on board and blowing it up. Which means then we'll get all the drama when Aaron gets back to Moya, and there's that John who has no clue what's happened with him and, well, the other him and Aaron for the last however many quarter cycles or whatever. And I guess it does kind of keep the Icarus name theme going, where Icarus, his wings melted and he fell to the sea and died. So that's my guess.
Yeah, which I could see because there wasn't a whole lot of Daedalus syncing up with this episode. I know that's in the title, but I really didn't find a good application for it. I I don't know that I can disagree with your take. I can definitely tell you that I'm not a fan of it. I'm not sure I like that because I prefer this Crichton to the other. The other Crichton's kind of a jerk, especially in that last episode, which I think I beat to death. So I'll move on. But I just this Crichton seems a little more on the ball, which is funny because they're clones. But and I think losing his memories of all the stuff he's done with Aaron would be the waste, which is probably why they're doing it, right? Because it'll hit harder. Let me see. Definitely some melted wings in the future for that one. If I'm trying to think through the other ways you could use the title, Talyn was flying too close to the sun and got hit, so there may be some repercussions to him being blinded. But Talyn seems to heal pretty quick, so I don't know that that's gonna stick.
Yeah, or maybe if we wanted to wrap up kind of both plot lines here, maybe yeah, Crichton pilots Talon and crashes Talon into the dreadnought. I don't know. Take out everybody on the duplicate plot line here, and just he kicks everybody off the ship. Craze, Rigel, Aaron, Stark. Kick all them off, and kamikazes the Talon into the dreadnought. I don't know.
Can we just sacrifice Crace and keep Crichton because I liked him better
Yeah,
anyway.
have Craze do something worthwhile. No, yeah,
Mm.
but no, because Craze has made the deal with Aaron's mother, even though he said, "Is that what you think, Crichton?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's what we do think, really." So yeah, so we have to have that plot line come back sometime. So,
That's true. She's still out there somewhere we have to deal with.
but yeah, so we will see if we're right next time or not. Although, really, we remember what we said last time to go check, but we'll see.
Yeah. Until somebody actually holds us accountable, we're just going to forget and move on. So,
Unless someone wants to go through and make like a little recap board and be like, you said this, were you right or wrong? No, we don't know. So.
yeah, just give me a zero batting average and move on. I don't think I've been right yet. So,
Yeah, and I've seen these at some point on and off before, and I can't remember much of anything, so it's been too long. So to me, it's like watching again with some vague recollections of, yeah, this is going to change at some point. So we'll see. All right, so that is your homework for the Farscape part of next time. So stay tuned after the little musical theme break here of the secret invasion theme to hear us talk about that. All right, so we'll just do our little brief recap of season 1, episode 4 of Secret Invasion, and then we'll go over how we thought about it.
sounds like a plan.
Yeah. All right, in keeping with our one-word episode titles, episode 4 is called Beloved or Beloved, depending on how you want to say that word. In this case, I think it's Beloved. That's how they said it.
That aligns with the poem. So,
Yep.
yeah.
So we'll go with that because it's more artistic. So before she attempted to run away from the rebels, we have a little flashback here to start open with. Gaia used Gravik's machine to give her extremis. This allowed her to recover from Gravik's gunshot wound that looked fatal for last time. So nope, she wasn't dead. And meets up with Talos. Talos explains to her that Talos is planning to ask U.S. President Ritson to help the Skrulls after they successfully stop the rebels, which kind of disappoints Gaia, who hoped for a stronger plan to find them a new home than just hopefully maybe the president might be nice. Meanwhile, Priscilla, that's Fury's wife, we didn't know about from last time, meets with Rhodey, who's a Skrull named Rava, which we kind of figured, and he instructs her to kill Fury. But both are unaware that Fury is listening in on their conversation. Fury later confronts Priscilla at their house over this demand, but they make amends after she reveals that she took an oath to her human counterpart to never harm her lover. Fury then visits Rhodey and shares a drink with him, and secretly gives him a liquid tracker. Fury and Talos then follow Rhodey as he goes to pick up Ritson for talks with Russia. When, of course, Gravik and the rebels attack Ritson's convoy disguised as Russian terrorists. Fury and Talos extract the unconscious Ritson with help from British soldiers, but Talos is wounded in the process. And as Fury is walking Talos back to their car, assuming the form of a British soldier, Gravik stabs Talos in front of Fury. Alright, so that was episode 4. So if you cannot confuse it with episode 5, that you already watched it, which I didn't, what'd you think?
So I really enjoyed this one, although it's again with the death, right? We always seem to close out with a death. I think I'm going to go the opposite on this one, and I'm going to say we lose Talos. This is going to be a permanent death. We'll step into this maybe a little bit, but I'm not sure you can trust who you see in this show. So there's some questions I have that may not even get answered as we go through it. But yeah, overall, I did really enjoy it. I think I'll touch on some of my thoughts of the season overall when we get there. But a good episode that I think moved things forward, and it was good to see Rhodey.
And then, yeah, at this point, I'm just kind of taking it as I don't believe anything's going on at this point, like who's who. I'm just going to watch it. And if, oh, this person's a Skrull, okay, fine. I mean, because the way they set this up, anybody could be a Skrull. So you don't know, you can't tell. If they're dropping hints, I ain't getting them. So I'll just, watch what they show me and be like, oh, okay, he's a Skrull now, or she's a Skrull. Okay. Yeah, so
Right?
I'm not gonna try and
Yeah.
guess anymore. I started guessing in the first episode or two, and I'm like, no, I'm just gonna be like, okay, you're gonna do what you're gonna do, and I'm just along for the ride. So
But I think part of the fun that this brings up, and like I said, I don't know that they'll get there, but it'd be fun if they did, was to try to do some looking at what the introduction of the Skrulls mean to the Marvel Cinematic Universe across the board. Because at any point in any movie, any character could be a Skrull. Like you could,
right,
there's no, unless they died and didn't revert back, you've really got no idea that anybody you ever interacted with was not a Skrull.
yeah. So all this time, maybe Mary Jane from the Spider-Man movies was a Skrull. We don't know. And would it fit? Probably. Who knows? Would it disappoint me? Depends, maybe.
What was the old Captain America that came back a Skrull, and the real Captain America is still kicking it around? I mean, you could do this all day, right? I
Hmm.
mean, see what I did anyway.
Yeah, right. And then, yeah, just after we stopped recording last time, I was like, oh, I know how Guy is not dead. Extremis. And there you go. So,
Yeah,
so that kind of maybe takes the one theory about people were talking about maybe her being Abigail Brand, the head of Sword or Saber here in the MCU. But then again, we have 2 more episodes to go, and anything's possible. And again, if it's true or not, will it bum me out? No. But it's a cool theory, and it'd be fun to see if it was true or not.
yeah. Like I was kind of mentioning there a minute ago about not trusting anything. I'll take the full. I was definitely wrong on this one. I really thought they were gonna do some permanent deaths, and the fact that I was wrong about this one has me questioning Hill from season or episode 1. Right, season 1. It's all season 1. But yeah, now I'm wondering, is Hill dead? Are we going to see her back before the seasons are out? Yeah, that'd be an interesting thing. Again, I don't know that I trust anything in this show right now. So
Yeah, well, we were saving that for the end, but yeah, yeah, I'm gonna go with you that yeah, Talos is probably dead. I mean, at some point they have to keep people dead. I mean, I know it's a TV show based off comic books, and comic books people never die truly. Some people do sometimes, but a lot of times they come back. But yeah, I mean, at this point, you gotta start keeping people dead. Otherwise, you're kind of like losing the tension here with the show, right? So yeah, let's say Talos is dead, which of course then, like I said before, and other times people were dead or not, that the remainder, the survivors, Fury and Gaia, are going to have obviously some emotional fallout from that, right? I mean, she's finally making up with her dad, and now he's dead. Gravik, who she was following, now is, she wants to kill him probably. And maybe like a scroll giving his life for the US president will come back at the end of episode 6 if they want to conclude this as a reason for maybe helping them find a new home. I don't know. But that's always a good motivator in TV shows. Someone sacrifices themselves for somebody and then they do them a favor later, posthumously or whatever.
and, and I think you just nailed on what I'm thinking is that I think the deaths may be more related to were they sacrificial, right? Were they meaningful? You know, in the case of Gaia, right? If she had died, what was the meaning, right? She didn't sacrifice herself for anything. But in Talos' case, like you said, there's a potential that there could be a sacrifice play there that may be meaningful to the story. So it'll be interesting to see if that holds. Don't hold me to that one if it doesn't. But
Yeah, I mean, like we said a second ago, anything's possible in this show, and I'm just along for the ride. So, I'll tell you after the end of episode 6, was I just disappointed in the whole thing or not? So,
right,
so far, everything's great. And I guess jumping around a little bit, so talking about like superpowers, so we see another superpower from the list of stuff that they talked about in the one episode a couple episodes ago. So we see Gravik using Groot-like abilities with the battle with the British soldiers. He like stretches out his arm. It looks like scroll vine plant kind of things. So and like strangles a soldier or something. So we know he's got at least two superpowers or two, not superpowers, but like two abilities. The Groot's plant growth stretchy thing and Extremis. So I mean, if the end game of this is to like stop him permanently by killing him or whatever, you're gonna have to do something really major to destroy him because they pretty much like shot most of his face off and it grew back. So, I mean, you're pretty much gonna have to like blow his head off or disintegrate him or something because I'm sure even extremists can't fix that.
yeah. Although I'm gonna say I'm wondering at this point, given how much, there's only what 2 episodes left of this. He may survive the series, right? We may be left with something that being an incomplete plot thread. He may still be out there to menace Earth if we don't get him handled by the end of a couple of episodes from now. So that'll be an interesting thing because you're right. With Extremis, it's going to take something pretty big to knock him down. And yeah, you just made me think about it when you mentioned Groot abilities, right? You could always plant a twig and grow him again because we've seen that.
Oh, good point. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, so you have like a little mini mini graphic running around.
Carry him around in a pot for a little while. Yeah,
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, because if this is season one and not just Secret Invasion, then what's season two going to be about, right? Or if they take us into the rest of the MCU, movies or TV shows, what would it look like? So yeah, who knows? Again,
yeah,
ask me at the end of episode 6. Now, then I'll let you know.
right. Because we haven't really talked about what that means for the Marvels movie coming out, right? I mean, I haven't watched the trailers for that yet, so maybe it's unrelated. But I know the Skrulls were introduced in her movie, so there's a lot of possible setup that could be happening. I just don't know at this point.
Yeah, I haven't watched the trailer yet, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see like if they carry it forward, or at least the fallout of whatever's happening, because you have a million scrolls probably appearing as humans all over the planet. So there's gonna be some fallout with that, like with the blip. They kind of danced around it, but they have been bringing that into the future shows here. So if what effects that have on people. And then we get some nice scenes with Fury and Priscilla, his wife. We learn all about her backstory and why she took the appearance that she has. That it's an actual person, not just a made-up face. And we have the poem stuff, and that's kind of also why she didn't kill Fury because of what she promised her other self, plus the poem. And I mean, it was funny when they both shot at each other and missed, although you didn't know because I mean, obviously she's not going to shoot Fury because otherwise that'd be a end of the show, or he was a scroll somehow or something, and which would make no sense. But why even shoot at all? Like just like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna shoot you. I'm not gonna shoot you either, and put your guns down. But it's drama, and that's how they get you. It's like, what happened? Oh,
Yeah, I mean, obviously they were testing each other out. You could come up with a lot of headcanon things here. I think the overall one you nailed, which is it makes for a really good scene and some drama. I do also want to point out I always like the symbolism in the background, and maybe I feel like I'm in a high school English class looking for meaning and things that may or may not be there. But the masks on the wall, were faces, and one of them gets shot. And I always think that's an interesting, was that intentional? Were they saying something about shooting of masks there, or I don't know, just fun stuff to make you think about.
yeah, could be. All those writers like their metaphors and stuff. So, and that's kind of what the whole series is about, right? Like you don't know who's who, right? They're all wearing masks, effectively, right? And Fury continues to get his groove back, so to speak. He's getting back those sharp skills he haven't used for however many years up in space. He's bugged, Priscilla and Rhodey without them knowing about it. And when he was talking with Rhodey, he kind of kept playing the part of the, I don't know what's going on. I just really want my job back. Please, Mr. Rhodey, sir, kind of give me my job back. Help a brother out, as he kept saying. Which is also him playing into that Skrull's emotions and his thinking about, that he still has all the power over Fury, and Fury has no clue what's going on, and haha, I'm devious and I'm wonderful, and so he's getting that Spy Master groove back.
Yeah, but and I mentioned Rhodey a little bit earlier. I think that's one of my favorite things about this series so far is watching the actor, get to be be a cocky, arrogant jerk Rhodey, right? Because this is the Skrull talking and stuff, and it's so much fun to see that interpretation as opposed to the one we got in the other MCU appearances. You know, I really would like some backstory on this Skrull. How long's it been? How long ago did Rhodey get replaced? Was it there for some of the other things? How far back does it go? And everything. It is a nice touch too. Also, that this is a female Skrull, right? So it kind of goes against type to have they don't feel the need for males to be males and females to be females. It's just a face is a face, and I find that an interesting thing as well.
Yeah, and you're kind of wondering, like, why hasn't Rhodey put on the War Machine armor, right? Like, does it not work because it's tied to, like, Rhodey's brain pattern, or whatever kind of security or whatever Stark might have put in the suits, right? So that the Skrull, even though he has like Rhodey's thoughts, the suit might not work because it doesn't think he's the real Rhodey. I don't know, or they just don't want to spring for the special effects to put it in the show.
Yeah, because I mean, he could just suit up and start World War III by having War Machine, Iron Patriot, whatever it currently is, go be start a war. So there's all kind of interesting things there.
Yeah, you could just have him go, like, strafe the square in Moscow, and oh, the U.S. Avenger military President Attache attacked Russia. Oh, whatever, but they didn't do that. So yeah, who knows? Again, 2 episodes to go. We'll see, but they're probably not going to bring War Machine in. That's
You got to save that for Armor Wars, right?
right. Yeah, that's when the real fun. So hey, maybe they'll bring that into the Armor Wars. Maybe. We'll see. And yeah, I guess Gravik's grand plan of getting the big superpowers to blow each other up and the rest of the world, didn't happen last time. So I guess next plan, or maybe part of the same plan, assassinate the U.S. president and frame Russia for it. So let's try it this way. So although this plan, the other plan last week was okay, fine, shoot down the plane and okay, fine, start the war. No one has to know who it was or wasn't real, or who didn't do anything. This time around, though, this plan has to work completely. Like, they have to kill everybody on the convoy side so that they can take away any Skrull bodies, because obviously when they get, people were, Skrulls were shot as Russian, posing as Russian terrorists, so they would revert back to their true form. Although we only see any of that, but maybe we'll see it next time. And, since they had to retreat, it didn't work and they had to retreat, so, I mean, pretty much their plan at this point is blown. I mean, the secret of the secret invasion is gone now because there's Skrull bodies all over the place. So it's gonna be interesting to see now. And plus, the one British soldier did see Talos as a Skrull, so that now the jig's up. They know that there are aliens, which 2 episodes to go. So that's the point. I mean, they gotta start exposing the plot here, the secret. So
Yeah, it is not the first alien to invade the Earth, though, right? I mean, they've got plenty of. It's an interesting thought to remember that there was the invasion of New York. There's been all these incursions of the different MCU movies with Asgard and uh,
Wakanda.
Doctor
Yeah.
Strange and Wakanda. And, yeah, I mean, there's a ton of the blip. I mean, this Earth is really desensitized to a lot of weird stuff. So, what trips that wire, right? What would cross a line that would amaze people?
Yeah. Or if it gets out that, like, your neighbor or your wife or your child could be an alien, that that will set off who knows what.
Yeah, add that to the blip stuff that we saw with tensions already from Captain America. I'm sorry, I keep saying that from Falcon and Winter Soldier, and you could potentially have some nice powder keg things they could milk there. So
Yeah, so if they keep going with the MCU TV shows, which conflicting stories out there that Disney's getting having some financial problems with some latest movies and things, then they might start scaling back on stuff. But if they keep going with what they've laid out with the next phase of the MCU here, yeah, we'll see where it goes because they can take this lots of different ways depending on where they want to go with it. All right, that's kind of all the major points. Anything else to comment about this one before we guess or just say what we're doing next time? Although you
Sure.
already know now because you watched the next
Yeah,
episodes.
yeah. I've been trying not to tip anything. I don't think this is a spoiler, so I'm mentioning this. You know, this has just been across the board thing I've mentioned about the Marvel TV shows and stuff. Is I just really wish they would put more episodes or more runtime into them. I know that the popular thing right now is to get away from large series runs and do more compact. Part of me wants to call it a mini series, right? I mean, 6 episodes is not a lot, and I don't know that I'm a fan. I really would like to go back to at least a 12 episode run to get a lot of these things. We just either they need to make them longer so they have more in them, or they need to make more of them because I just think there's so much left on the table, so much more that we could have done. And it doesn't have to be big budget stuff. It could just be information and knowledge drops and stuff like that. But I'm just left feeling wanting, which I guess is better than being sick of it, right? That's their goal, is to leave you wanting more. But there's a lot more they could be doing that I just feel like they're having to gloss over to keep the time frame moving to make the cut times.
Yeah, because I mean, since this is on Disney Plus, I mean, it can be any length they want. Yeah, it's not gonna be six 2-hour things, but it could be more than 35 minutes that most of these have been. It could be 45, 50 minutes. Like you can put like some extra stuff in there and yeah, dive more into some of these things or explore another avenue, or even just have some more plot threads going, which maybe you don't really need that to overcomplicate things, but yeah, it would be nice to have some more time with this.
Yeah, I just feel like at 6 episodes, as we can tell by the fact that we're down to two, right? There's just a lot you could do and not much time left.
Yeah, you have to wrap
So
up all the moving parts that you've gone, which they're slowly doing, sort of. But yeah, they got 2 more episodes to cram in, stopping Gravik, maybe getting the scrolls in your home, what to do with the scrolls that are here. Like, they want to stay in their form with their lives they've been living for, where it's now 20, yeah, almost 30 years, or not, what kind of effect that's going to have. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot to wrap up, and I guess we'll see if they pull it off, which we'll find out next time. But
yeah, I mean, and to your point, you've got the conflict they have to resolve this particular thing, but then there's the epilogue, right? The after effects. How much? I hope we get some time to see what happens. What's the world like afterwards? Or are we just going to end up with a cliffhanger and have to wait for to be continued in something? You know, Kang's the big bad for the most of them. So where do we go? Who gets to pick up this thread? That's the other piece I'm not clear on yet.
yeah, because a lot of times they just, if it's, X episodes, X minus one, they do all the solving, and then, like maybe like, or even during the last episode, maybe like the last 5 minutes, they'll maybe do a little bit of, oh, here's what's going to happen next or something, or here's what happens after you do the thing, which, it's kind of annoying. Like there's a lot more things that could be explored and learned and dealt with, which makes me think about my all-time favorite sci-fi show, Babylon 5, where, the first 4 seasons was like the story. And then because they had to rush it because they weren't know if they're going to get five or not, they kind of finished everything in the by the fourth season. But then the fifth season was the fallout of like, here's what happened after all these 4 seasons, which was fantastic. They had time to had 22 episodes to explore the fallout of a giant war and how it affects people and all that stuff. So that was fantastic. You finally get to see something deal with what they dropped on you. So, but we'll see. And hey, we got the next year, the Daredevil is coming out, and that's like 18 episodes. So that's the most episodes of any Marvel TV project yet. So hopefully they'll have that, going all kinds of directions, with the 18 instead of, 12 or 6 or whatever.
Yeah, and I hope that's really successful because I'd love for that to be the trend, right? I could settle for less if we got more in that thing. I don't need 10 shows. I need one really deep show, I think would be my preference. But
Yep, we shall see. So yeah, so by the time we record next, since number 6 is coming out here in a couple days, so yeah, I guess your homework is watch the remaining episodes of Secret Invasion 5 and 6, and we'll talk about that next time. All right, so that's your homework. Farscape if you care, Secret Invasion if you care, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
goodbye.